Remember when life is as simple as deciding whether or not you liked your morning snack? And if you didn't, you simply hurled it across the room without a second thought. No? Well, that's probably because you're about 2 or 3 years old at the time. As we grew up, how we learned to feel about our lives depended largely upon how the adults in our lives responded to our little action and whether we were allowed to express those feelings quite freely. If our caregivers dismissed our experiences, we began to doubt our feelings or our emotions, and then we also began to doubt our ability to fully express ourselves and the choices that we were making. This is where we first started to experience the idea of conflict. This is where I wanted to do one thing, yet the world said, no, you should do another thing. Don't do that thing you were going to do. It's wrong. Usually that came without any explanation and a punishment attached to it. Something that hurt you, either physically or emotionally. In fact, it had a sense of danger about it. Obey me or else. In our tiny minds at the time, this actually made no sense. It probably still doesn't make any sense. It just felt like to us, if we didn't obey, there would be no love for us. And this is where we learned to be wary about what the world around us was thinking about us. This is where we learned that we can possibly get life wrong. And if we got life wrong, we would be unlovable. So we better get life right. Or else we will be unlovable. And for many of us, this meant we had to learn to predict adult behavior. We had to actually start predicting futures. We had to start thinking about what they might do. If we did this, what will then they do? We wanted to avoid the fate of being unlovable. And that's how we thought we would go about doing it. Now, in the adult world, we're still doing the same thing. We are still thinking and worried about what they, the parent out there, them, are going to do to us. They're not going to love us if we don't obey them. Punishment really means not feeling loved. That's the ultimate punishment for us. Not feeling loved could be like not being valued, not being heard, metaphorically heard or held, I like to say. But with so many people out there, and I think you've noticed it more and more as we go on in life these days, with everyone with conflicting ideas of how we should be living, life has become that complicated where it doesn't need to be. The thing is, you have all the answers. Not them, not me, you. You have all of your own answers. You've had them since you were 3. You've just forgotten. Pretend for a moment you're 3 years old again. Come on, it'll be fun. I pretend I'm 3 often. Your life is all about exploration at 3. You check out life to decide what you like and what you don't like. It's all about preference. This is how you learn discernment. You learn about you and what you want. To do this, you engage your feelings. Do you remember those? Many of you don't. The thing is, you could actually use them back then. You were learning them. Those big, bold, dive right into them feelings. You didn't like something, you cried. You wailed, you yelled. I don't like it. You loved something, you giggled uncontrollably. We love those little giggles, don't we? You were curious. You touched everything within reach. You soon figured out what they meant, what something meant to you if you touched it and it burnt you or, and obviously parents around you are guiding you with all that. The fundamental thing is you wanted to know your world. You wanted to know your world and your part in it, how you related to the world. Again, this is where you're learning discernment. You're learning to sort your preferences about the world you want to live in, how to make your choices in the future. And you do that by your feeling self. Your feelings are telling you what you like and what you don't like. You had no filter. There was no overthinking, no dragging yesterday into today, or predicting what's going to happen tomorrow. No dragging yesterday's woes into today's adventure. You lived entirely in the moment, responding to life how it happened, right then, right in the now, on the spot. And this is the magic we've lost as adults. We've learned to complicate life. Now, I love chunky, thought-provoking discussion as much as the next person, and perhaps this is what I'm doing right now. How does it feel to you when I talk to you about this? That's the best question. How do you feel when I'm discussing this? Some of my besties are academics, but somewhere along the line, we decided that we would be valued or loved if we knew stuff, if we were intelligent, if we took life seriously. And for some of us, what better way to do that than make life as complicated as possible? If you make it sound complicated, then people are going to listen to you. As a former practicing lawyer, I peppered my parental advice with my fair share of Latin, but mutatis mutandis and ipso facto did not make the required changes to the fact itself, that I was simply trying to impress my audience and elevate my value. As one of my favourite theoretical physicists, Sabine Hossenfelder, and I hope I've pronounced her name correctly, in her latest book, Existential Physics, I love to read stuff like that. It really relates to what I talk to, and I learn so much. In that book, she highlights the other people's views that academics often use complicated and confusing language to make their ideas seem more exclusive and difficult to understand. This way, their ideas are harder for the public to access, as if they're keepers of knowledge. So we've been taught then to value those people with knowledge, and that they are the keepers of the knowledge, and that we're the dumb ones, effectively. So we better listen to them if we're going to get life right. I mean, that's what we've been taught all along. Now, of course, there's empirical evidence for all sorts of things, and I'm not going into that. There are obviously things that are truths, and great, follow that too. But what I'm saying is, don't keep looking outside for the answers all the time. Test it with yourself too. How does it feel for you? To me, what I've learned is the real insight is in simplicity. You actually hold all the knowledge. You are the universe incarnate. You are part of the whole universe. You cannot be separated from it. You have access to this knowledge. You had it when you were 3 years old, before they taught you otherwise, and you still have it. It hasn't gone anywhere. You've just forgotten how to access it. So in my view, and this is just my point of view, take it as you will, feel into what I'm saying, but feelings hold the solution to all problems you're facing. I love to say that when lawyers are admitted to legal practice, they're required to check their hearts in at the door. It was practically a rule there that emotion had no place in problem solving. And most of us have believed that to be true because that is the system governing our planet. The ideas we've been taught are ideas. You need to be clever to solve a problem. And in some cases, that is true. Of course, in other things like mathematical problem solving and things like that, intellect plays a valuable role. I'm talking about the human condition here. The idea that there could be no emotion in problem solving didn't wash with me. I never quite bought into the idea that there's no emotion in problem solving. And it must have been that I snuck my heart past the gatekeeper of the admissions people that day, nearly 20-something years ago, my gosh. I would ask my clients how their bodies felt about a problem. I'd ask them whether there's a particular feeling. Did it have a shape, a texture, a flavour, or did it arise somewhere in their body? Could they feel it? And if they could, this will often give them an idea about why they're feeling that way. What would they need to believe to be true to feel like this? It's not actually the problem they're facing. It's something way deeper. For some of them, it would open up a world of insight. Yet for others, my male clients in particular, this was totally unfamiliar territory. They would say that their problems are in their mind or in their head. They couldn't feel their bodies at all. It just didn't register that the body could feel what the problem felt like. It had to be thought through. And this is where I feel that's where we've been conditioned to think instead of feel. So what can we learn from our inner 3-year-old? The key to navigating any problem is knowing what it feels like for you. Actually feeling it, not avoiding it, feeling it. And then inquire, actually ask your body, what is this saying? What is this saying to me? It does actually bring you answers, and it might be a little while, but tune in. Here's a few things you can do first. Here's a few clues. Number 1, feel first. Think next. When you encountered a problem as a 3-year-old, you didn't rush to solve the problem or think it through. Now that you're an adult, for the most part, lol, do the same. But take a moment to feel it first. What's your immediate emotional response? Are you angry? Are you sad? Are you frustrated? Are you even excited? Let that feeling be known to you first. That will then tell you, do you prefer this situation or not? What's in it for you? What's here to teach you? Number 2, don't drag it around. Your 3-year-old dropped a toy that it no longer wanted to play with, ready to grab the next one that was exciting for it. Similarly, back then you moved through your emotions with lightning speed. Don't let these feelings linger longer than necessary. Feel it, ask what it's saying, and then move on. So many of us who do understand the concepts of feeling want to stay focused on the negative feeling, what it was trying to teach us, more than, okay, I see it, I'm feeling it, that's really important. Now I need to move through it. Don't spend too much time there. Moving on keeps you in the moment, lets you respond to what's happening now, and just really generally keeps you in life's flow so you can move on to the next bit. Number 3, trust your intuition. 3-year-olds don't second guess themselves. They know what they like and what they don't. And what you like and what you don't may change from moment to moment with more data. It doesn't matter. Just because you liked something a minute ago doesn't mean you have to like it in the next moment either. Life is momentary. As adults, we could learn so much from that kind of clarity. Trust in your innate knowing. It'll keep you flowing in life, whereas before, overthinking, overanalyzing just keeps you stuck in the one spot. Number 4, make a decision and act on it. Once upon a time you acted, you did something and you got an outcome. Then you did something else and got another outcome, and you learned from all of those outcomes. You didn't judge them as whether they were good or bad, you just kept moving through, just gathering the data as you went along. Ultimately, this is your growing. This is how you grow. What doesn't feel so good to you tends to be you understand at an innate level that that's not you, so you course correct as you go. That's maturing your emotions. So over time, then you learn to respond in more effective ways, maturing your emotional intelligence as you went along. Unfortunately, some of us have been stuck in 3-year-old. We weren't allowed to mature those emotions, and so some of us still throw our food across the room. So next time you're facing a problem, try approaching it as if you're a 3-year-old, just with some curiosity, as an observer. Just watch how you're having your experiences. Feel it first. What's the feeling telling you? Trust that you can't get it wrong. This is so validating. Trusting in your own experience, knowing that what is right for you, what feels good to you. Doing this, you might just find the solutions you're looking for, and they're simpler than you think. Lol. Thanks for watching.